My name is Paul Church from Clarity Craft here in the UK. Welcome to another episode of Groovi Tuesday. I see we have some friends over on YouTube already. Good morning, Ian, Pat, and Karen. Hope everybody's well. I shall do my usual waffling until we see some more people in the room. Hope everybody's well. Sue should be in the room with us very shortly. If you have any questions, she's there to help. Good morning, Clive. 2 great days at the open day, back to normal. What is normal? It was lovely. The open days were absolutely amazing. A real sort of highlight of the Clarity calendar. And also for us as well. I mean, getting to meet people in the flesh, so to speak. So good morning, Jill, Karin, Nahid. It was they're two. It takes a lot to sort of get to those 2 days, and then when it's all over, you just think, oh, it's all over. But we are already looking ahead to 2025. So all I can say is watch this space. But it was really lovely. The weather was good. It wasn't too hot. Wasn't too cold. It was also great to catch up with many of our friends from our demonstrators. So like Linda Williams, haven't seen for a long time. Josie, Jane, obviously I've seen quite recently. Sam, Dee, Eileen, and then the lovely ladies on the Make and Takes. Hazel and Tina, and of course Glynis in the Snip Clinic. She was really going for it on the Snip Clinic, wasn't she? So good morning, Jane. There we go. The lovely Sue's in the room. Sadie said it was my first time to the Clarity Open Day. Had a fab time. I'm glad to hear that. It is, and we have many friends that come year on year on year, and we also have many new friends as well, because as we know, as things change and develop, maybe you're finding Clarity for the first time, maybe you're just getting into craft, maybe you're finding over on Create and Craft, or maybe you're just coming across us on social media or YouTube. It's great because we have this voice that we can share with you, which we do every week. On Mondays and Thursdays, we have the Shack with Barbara. So Mondays at 10 a.m. and Thursdays at 7 p.m. And then obviously we have the lovely Groovi Tuesday every Tuesday. And it's great to actually sort of get out there, sort of meet people, catch up with, as I say, catch up with friends that we haven't seen for many, many months or years even. So it's the come down now. So we unloaded the van yesterday. So poor Tom, he's got to sort of unpack that, get all that sorted. Josie said it was 2 years since she saw everyone. Yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? 2 years. Madness, it really is. But because we're always in touch, it doesn't feel like 2 years. Constantly in touch with Jane, Glynis, and Josie. I think that's my all clear from Sue to say you can hear me, thank goodness. All good. Thank you, Sue. I think she forgot to message. There we go. Oh no, it came through earlier, but it's only just come through my watch. Okay, so what's the weather with everybody today? At the weekend we had some lovely weather. Then yesterday it was grey, torrential rain in the morning, and today it's sunny again. So I wonder what tomorrow will bring. Maybe we'll have some snow. Sue said she fell asleep. Oh, Josie said she fell asleep 3 times on the sofa yesterday. Yeah, it really is a team effort, from the guys back here at head office to the demonstrators. I mean, like Jazz and her mum in the kitchen with Lisa, Gilly on the tills with Lisa, Debbie McMullen from the design team running around, making sure everything was stocked up and bringing me lots of coffee and biscuits. That was good. And yeah, and it's that build up. and then it's like 2 days and it's done now for another year. But you know what? Something to look forward to, isn't it? We're already planning, we're already looking at some dates for next year. So just waiting to hear back from the venue. Right, okay. So what have we got? Jane said it's like April, showery and chilly. Yeah, it was 7 degrees driving in this morning. That was weird, considering it was like 12 yesterday, despite all the rain. So what are we up to today? So I thought last week we had dessert for breakfast, didn't we? Barb did the fantastic craft along with the Calligraphy Girls and ran out of time for dessert. So we carried dessert over to breakfast or brunch last week. And we were working with the Groovi version of the Calligraphy Girls. And we took our inspiration from a piece of artwork by Carol Pankstello, who was lovely to catch up with at the open days as well. And what we did was, our interpretation of it was using some Toscana parchment. And this is as far as we got. So I thought what we'd do this week is we'd send our Calligraphy Girls off to finishing school. Okay, and what I mean by that is that we're going to have a look at different ways of attaching to our card, because we've finally got the brads back in stock, and Jane came up with a fantastic way of using the corner punches. So I spent an hour this morning preparing some little boards for you. There's the lovely Sam. Good morning, Sam. So yeah, so I thought we'd send the Calligraphy Girls off to finishing school today and look at some different ways of completing our artwork. And I thought it'd be nice and easy, because we often have to find ways to attach, and the brads were out of stock for so long. It took so we're going to look at brads, we're going to look at corner punches, we're going to look at some stitching. And there's various different ways, just adding those little finishing tips and tricks to your artwork. And over the open days, if you came along, that's what we were looking at. I was demonstrating those lovely window dies that we launched previously. And we was using the poppet toppers. And so we were finishing off, and it was great because with that particular die set, obviously I'd put them through their paces to a certain extent, and then it was great because people was coming up and saying, can you do this? Can you do that? Well, let's give it a go. Sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But yeah, it was great. So this is where I thought we'd head today. Sending our calligraphy, it sounds weird, does it? We're going to send the Calligraphy Girls off to finishing school. And then if you tuned into the if you tuned into the shack yesterday, then you would have seen the launch of our brand new online exclusive, which are the Hippie Chicks. And I'll give them a show, an outing during the course of this hour. I need to put this fan on again because it's got warm in here. So just bear with. There we go. Because there's no windows in the studio, despite the weather outside, it can, the temperature can it will get warm all of a sudden. Okay, so what we're going to need a little piece of artwork that we were working on last week. Okay, and I've got a little collection because I wanted to attach all different ones. So I took the same piece of parchment and created the same character in 3 pieces. To trim them down, I used my super duper craft knife that many of you seem to enjoy at the weekend as well. They certainly sort of flew off the hook, didn't they? So I used the Pergamano ruler and the craft knife to trim down. Okay, so that's where we got to last week. Now I must admit, this was the piece that we did last week. Remember I did the little crosses in the boxes, but I wasn't happy with that. So so she's gone to one side, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to trim that down to make, I'm going to get rid of that frame because I can use that as another piece. Actually, let me do that now, because I wasn't happy with my little crosses because I didn't get the 4-needle tool in the right place. So let me do that, because what we're going to do is we're going to use our Pergamano ruler with the Groovi grip. I digress slightly, but I just thought, you know what, rather than waste her, because she's lovely, just because I messed up on the border or the frame doesn't mean that I can't still use her. Okay, where's my goggles gone? Glasses on. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, what's the best way of doing this? I'm going to, so I'm using my Pergamano ruler, because it's got the grid lines on it, to line up the edge of my parchment. Or do I want to do it differently? Let me have a look. I reckon that's what I'm going to do. Right. I'm lining up there. I know it's a bit sort of cack-handed, but so we're going to trim down like so. So that's got rid of that dodgy border. Okay, and that one, where's that going? It's going there. Trim that down. Because obviously we can still use the character. Just because I made a boo-boo on the frame doesn't mean that I still can't use it. Okay. So let's have a look. And then we're going to go around here like so. There we go. And because I've got the Groovi grip on the ruler, it's not going to move. And then the final piece, there we go. And I'm using the same line on the ruler to remove. So there we go. So now we have a tiny little topper. Okay, right. Get rid of that. That can go in the bin, like so. And we can put her to one side because I'm sure we can come back to her later. Okay. So we're going to need our characters. And what I thought we'd do first, we'll go for the obvious. We're going to go for the back in stock Brads. Okay. Now I put mine in my little storage container, which we also have back in stock. And if I show you what I've done, on the side of my box, so I've got my antique silver, I've got my black, I've got my gold, I've got my pastels, I've got my pewter, my silver, and my white. And I've got a spare one. Maybe I want to put some blending nibs in there. Okay. But because I didn't want to write on the top of the box, so I thought I'd put it on the side of the box. Okay, and I just used a Sharpie to do that. I mean, if you've got one of those little machines, you can sort of do that, or you can just, well, you can label it however you want, but storage is, and it makes a nice sound. There we go. Okay, and it's great because they've got their individual compartments. It means you can just open the individual one for the ones that you want, take out what you want, and then pop them back in and click it to lock. Okay. What's fitting on a 3.5 and a 2.5? Intrigued now. Okay. So the first one we're going to go for, let's just pick any of these. Okay. Now, what I did was I had a look at some of our lovely companion papers. Okay. And so I went to Amazonia and I was flicking through and I was remember I was looking at what colour options to pop them on. And there was one in here that I really liked. I think it was this one. Where's it gone? I pulled it out earlier. So it's this one here. So it's a very sort of soft green. Okay. So what we're going to do, see now I'm unsure now. I put it on there. Maybe it was one of the darker ones. What do you reckon? Do you want me to sign while you play, Paul? What are you signing? Do you mean sing, Sam? Or what do you mean by sign? Okay, I'm probably not going to go down that road with Sam. See, that was a little bit whoa in your face, I thought. But see, that's that lovely colour there from the Amazonia. There it is. Is that it? Yeah, it was the first one. See, now I'm not sure if I want to go. No, I don't want to go darker. Definitely not. That worked? No. Oh, okay, Sam. I'll play the Brads and you can sing along. Name that tune. Okay, right. Let's do a little vote. Let's have some audience participation. Do we want to go bright or soft? What do you reckon? So bright or soft? Bright or pastel? Let's go bright or pastel. Let's have a little vote. I know it'll take a while for the opinions to appear. Come on in, let's have some bright from Sam. There's no paint, Sam, it's nice and clean. Nice and clean. Pastel from Sue. So it's neck and neck at the moment. 50-50. Pastel, both. I could do both. Bright, 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 bright. Okay. Bright. Pastel, then bright. See, I love this. The interaction. It's just like being at the open days, isn't it? Sometimes if you're unsure, then ask and see what people think. You could put it on the pastel, do corner punch trick. Yeah, I'm going to leave the corner punch trick for a little bit later, Jane. I'm going to go with the Brads first. Okay, right. So I'm going to go with the bright, then the pastel. Try it. Lillian's saying pastel, then bright. Okay, since Lillian said please, we'll go pastel and bright. Okay. So what we're going to do is, let's have a look. So that's going to go about there. Okay. So in order to use the Brads, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring in my super foam. Okay. And my one needle bold tool, which I think I've put it back in my organizer. I'm sure I have. One needle bold. Okay, all right, next question. Brads, I'm going to go white. Oh, this chair. Me and this chair are going to fall out big time in a minute, or I'm going to fall off the chair. Okay, so Brads. See, they're another good use for the super foam is that the Brads don't roll around everywhere. Okay. Goggles back on. Right, okay. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to position my artwork so I've got a nice sort of edge around both sides. Okay. Should I zoom in a little bit? Would that help? Now that I've got the chair sorted. Right, hang on. Zoom in. There are some green ones that would match. Okay, all right, Jane. Let's put the white ones back in. And let's go for the pastel green. So, one. Oh, the pastel ones are lovely. Two. I need, I wonder if this would do a job. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, look at that. I'm using the shader tool and it's become magnetic. Ah, oh, that's good. Oh, look at that. I don't know how that happened. But the shader tool is acting like a magnet. Ooh, misses. Oh, I didn't know. Don't know why that's happening, but that's good. Allows me to put them back in their pot. There we go. Right. Right, said Fred. We're going with the pastel greens. We're going on the pastel paper as requested by Lillian. And I'm going to take my 1 needle bold and perforate in the center of the square. I'm going to give it a little wiggle. Okay. And I'm going to insert the brad like so. Okay. And whilst that's still in place, I'm now going to move over. And what I'm doing, I'm just pressing down on the parchment to make sure it's nice and smooth. Perforate into the next one. Okay, so what's happening now is that the super foam is holding my work in place. I'm going to come down and do that one. And while we're here, let's do this one here as well. So brad number 3. And finally, brad number 4. Okay, so now that we've done that, it is like watching that magnetic fish game, wasn't it? So now I'm going to release it from the super foam, like so. And then I'm taking my super foam away and I'm going to turn over so I'm now on to the back on a flat surface. Then I'm going to open the legs of the brad. And what I tend to do is I tend to do them at a right angle. Okay. Now I know Jane's got a top tip of squidging those down using the handle of a blending tool. Okay, so you can do that. Or I wonder if I get enough. There we go. And you just need anything flat just to squidge it. Okay. And the reason I'm doing them at a right angle like so is so that when I come to trim the paper down, they don't get in the way. Okay, so you just manipulate them into a right angle, and they're all pointing inwards. Okay. Squidging. Yes, we normally tickle the parchment and we're going to squidge the brads. So my parchment is now nice and secure. See, those green brads that are nice and subtle. If you wanted a little bit more drama, you could have gone for some silver. Maybe you wanted to go for the white. Or maybe if you could put this onto a black card, you could have used the black ones to highlight the area. What was that from Glynis? Glynis flattens hers with a little hammer. Each to their own. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trim down. Okay, so let's have a look. So if I go round here, just to get a rough idea, I reckon that is definitely the width, not the width, but the, yeah, okay. So what I'm going to do now, let's try this. Where's my craft mat gone? Let me bring that back into pay. I don't want to keep cutting on my black mat. Okay. So I'm going one row in. Excuse my head while I just come over a moment. Okay, that's about right. Craft knife. Now I am balancing on the brads. Okay, so I've got a bit of a wobble, but let's see what happens. Like so. And then we're going to turn round. And we're going to line up in the same position. Like so. There we go. Is that cut off? Yes, there we go. So that has now, that worked quite well. There we go. So now I have my little topper. And then what we're going to do is we're now going to go onto the brighter yellow. Okay, do I want such a, you know what? Decisions, that's too narrow for there. So we're going to go on to there. I'm going to come over a little bit. I'm going to go centrally. So now, I mean, I could have gone through, I would have had to have cut this down first. I could have gone through both layers of the paper with the brad. Now, another good reason for turning your brads at a right angle like this is so that when you take your tape runner, okay, you can go right to the edge of your paper, depending on how big a frame you have created. Okay, like so. But the brads don't get in the way of the tape runner. Okay. So now we're going to go onto the bright. I'm going to go in the middle, like so. Okay, I'm not worried that, but now what that does, it gives me a nice clean seal all the way around the outside. Okay, I'm going to go back to my ruler again, and this time we're going to do the same width. So you could use the guillotine if you're not so sure about the knife, especially with the brads. Okay, so that goes there like that. Line that back up. But for me, like the ruler is really helping to give me my perfect matte and layering. Okay. Do the next side. So it's all about the sort of the finishing off, isn't it? Sometimes I know when we do TV shows, we very rarely get to complete our artwork on TV. Okay, so there we go. That looks good. It looks a bit odd on the right. So now, if I take a card blank, so we've got a 6x6. That looks rather lovely, doesn't it? Do we want to go? We're going to go a tent opening or a side opening. I'm going to go for a side opening. So tape runner, I can move that out of the way now. Tape runner again. See, this is, for me, the tape runners makes such a difference. So go along, when you get to the end, give it a little tilt to give you a nice clean break. Go all the way around. So that's now going to go just like so. Okay, there we go, that's lovely. Needs a little sentiment maybe. So you could, obviously on the plate, you've got some fantastic little sentiments that you can use. We could just take an offcut of parchment or paper, but what I thought I'd go for are the lovely pinky grey stickers that we recently launched. I love these because you have a mix of different font sizes. Just a note to say, thank you so much. Wish you were here. Let's have a coffee. Fancy a chat? Well done, you. So let me have a look. I reckon I want to go, oh, I don't know. What do you reckon? I reckon, oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know what to go for. Let's have a look. I don't think Happy Father's Day is the right sentiment, do you? What about, oh, see, sometimes there's too many to choose from. I'm going to go for just a note to say, what do you reckon? Is that going to, see, that will go lovely there. But what I need to do now is put it onto some coordinating paper. So I've still got this bit left over here. So I'm going to pop that on there like so. So we're going to go on the light. We're going to mat and layer again. Bring in my craft mat. Use my ruler again for my positioning. So it's just a little sliver. Okay, steel edge. Just like so. Okay. Turn it round. Steel edge again. Okay. And then we'll turn it over and we'll go on the bright colour again. Okay. Right, that one's going to go on there. And obviously with the white ones, you can change the colour. What am I about to be told? What do you need to tell me? Sorry, I've got my head down. I can't read. Okay, that's that one there. And, oh, where's that one? Come on. That's going to go there. Okay. Right. Let me just cut this down. There we go. So we've got a little topper. Move that to one side. Bring her back in. And then there we go. And then that's going to go. Do I want to go at an angle? No, let's keep it nice and simple. There we go. So that's job number one. And is it really 10:30 already? Goodness me. Okay, so that's one way of attaching your parchment. Okay, using the brads, you can go direct onto the card, but obviously if you go, so what am I missing? What do you need to tell me, Lillian? I've missed. Okay, so that's project number 1, so to speak. So let's pop that over there. Ruler to one side. Let's just get rid of these little bits into the bin. Okay, right. Okay, let's bring in the corner punches. Now, as you know, for me, the corner punches are a real sort of game changer. Oh, use the sunshine sentiment. Yeah, oh, sorry, I didn't see that one. Okay. So for me, the punches were a real game changer, not only just for your parchment craft. Sue didn't tell me anything. I didn't get any messages from Sue. So I missed that one. Okay, corner punches. So back in stock again, and you've got lovely decorative corners. And the idea behind them is that you punch a corner and you can then attach your artwork. So if I just take one, for example, let's go for this one. So you can take your piece of artwork, slot it underneath like so, and it holds your artwork in place. Okay, so no sign of any glue. Well, this yellow works quite nice behind here. And then obviously you do all 4 sides or opposite corners, and your parchment or artwork is being held in place. Then I've remembered an old Martha Stewart trick from the Martha Stewart punches. Okay, and what you could do is you could then take a strip and you can take your die and you can remove the back and create a continuous border with them. Okay, see, so you can create a continuous border. Then our lovely Jane came up with another trick using them. Okay, so if you take your corner punch, and especially if you've got our lovely companion papers or designer papers, which are double-sided, okay, and if you take your corner like so, okay, because Jane created a piece of artwork that she showed on, demonstrated on the Pergamano show on Thursday of last week, okay, and I saw the artwork. Jane sent the artwork through so I could sort of prepare the show for her, and I looked at it and I just couldn't get in my head what Jane had done, how to create that effect, okay, and so I had to wait for Jane to come to the open days, and I said to Jane, how did you get that effect? Okay, and she said, well, she was working on a piece of artwork and she wasn't keen on sort of like the way in which the corner punches were working for that particular design, and so she was going around, and what happened, it folded over. So now all of a sudden you've got, rather than this particular design folding inwards, okay, and you've now got a completely different look. And if you turn it over, it looks different again. Okay, so we was really putting these through their paces at the open days. And then someone said to me, well, can you do that with the border as well? And I said, oh, I don't know. I said, sounds a bit tricky, but you can. Okay, so what I've done, I've created some boards to share with you. Okay, so I may need to zoom out a little bit. No, I think that's fine. So the corner punch used in the traditional method, like so. Okay, so I can take my bit of artwork and I can slide that onto there. Works perfectly. Then you turn it over and you get the contrasting color. Okay, so just like I showed you there. So you take your piece, just fold it behind how Jane has done it, and so you then get this effect. Now if I turn it this way towards me, then this is the effect that I get. Now I've stuck all these down, but you could easily put your artwork underneath. So look, I could still put that artwork underneath there to hold it in place. Maybe a little brad through the corner. Okay. So then when we're looking at the borders, it's the same principle. You can create your normal border like so, but then if what I did was, let me show you on a piece here, for example. So if I take that base off again, because I was trying to work out at the end there, or if I do that, how can I flip it? Okay, so if I carry on and just do this, like so, will I get another one in there? No, I'm going to stop there. Okay, so I've got my row like so, and then what I did was I took a ruler. Okay, I took my ruler, lined it up with the opening, and then I took my border. I'm on a hard surface, and then what I did was I just scored along here like so. Okay, and then if I take it, what way am I going to go? So then if I take it and I flip it, I now get that same contrast. Okay, which is exactly what I've done there. And I could do it, you could do it that way as well. So now you could do this. I mean, that then just gives you your standard border. But if I wanted to, depending on my artwork, I could pop that behind there, like so. Whereas normally I would keep it attached and pop my artwork like that. So really, there's so many different uses now with these punches. And sometimes the obvious isn't obvious until somebody shows you. And it's great to be able to get that lovely contrast of color. Okay. So it works. We've got 5 different designs. Oh, excuse me, 5 different designs in the punches. And the only one it doesn't work on is this one. Okay. Which is fairly obvious because it's a straight line. So all that will do is it will give you a straight line. So let me show you the other design. So this one that we're looking at now is this one. It's like a fan design. Then the next one is the scallop. Okay, so you've got the scallop design. So same technique, fold behind, fold towards, create your border, just like so. Then the next one, in the office, we call this one the Batman. Okay, so it's like the Batman symbol. So that's this one. So normal corners, folded, create your border, and your, I mean, here it looks like crowns when you do it in a row, but in the corner, it looks like Batman. And then the final one that it works on is sort of like the scallop, so to speak. So you normal into the corners, folded back, folded towards you, complete row, or just a decorative corner. So I've prepared all these this morning because I really wanted to sort of show them off. And I think that technique from Jane really does open up not only the companion papers, but also the punches. And I'm sure somebody out there will come up with maybe some other ways of using them. Okay, so if we want to use them now to attach our artwork to our card, then because I've already got a lovely decorative frame around the outside, I'm just going to go for this one. I'm just going to keep it nice and simple. Okay, so if I go back to the Amazonia, so what have I got here? Right, I'm going to go back to the Amazonia paper pad, and this time I'm going to go to the bright side, so to speak, because we went soft. I don't even know where that card's gone. So we went pastel last time, so this time we're going to go bright. Okay, so the easiest way of doing this is you take your corner punch, okay, and push into the corner and punch your first corner. So we're going to do this in the traditional way first. You take your artwork and you slide that in. Now, if you're worried about cutting into your artwork, then just take a piece of copy paper, exactly the same size even, and use that as a template. So I'm going to bring my blue mat back into play, like so. That's going to hold in place. I'm going to take my, this desk isn't big enough. There's so much, I've got so much on here to play with. Okay, so what we're going to do is make sure that's in place like so. Again, if you're not sure about, I could replace this for copy paper to test first, okay? Because if I go too small, then what I've got to do is sort of just trace this, cut this down a sliver, or if it's too big, it might be too loose. So try it on a piece of copy paper first, and then what that will do is, if you get it right, then what it will do is it will give you the size that you can then pre-cut your backing paper down to. Okay, I reckon I'm gonna just go a little bit wider than what I think it should be. So that's going to go there, like so. Turn it round. And then repeat on this side. Okay. So now we're going to take our, it's trying to get the measurements right that I have trouble with. I know, Karin, there isn't, I can't say to you if this was a, I don't know, 2x3, 2x4, for example, that you need to go 2¼ like an increase of 1/4 of an inch, because it does vary from design to design. So that's why I often, before I do it, I would do it on a piece of copy paper to test it first. And then once I'm happy, I can then measure that copy paper and then cut my lovely backing paper to size. Okay. So here we go, moment of truth. All 4 sides cut. That slots into there. That slots into there. That goes like so. There we go. So that now fits perfectly on my topper. Okay. So, so there we go. So now that I can then mat and layer up again, and then attach to my card. Okay. So what about if we want to use Jane's technique then? Okay. So if I take this out from here, if I fold that outwards like so, just how Jane did. See, if I now pop that on there, you can see you're actually losing the design. However, look, if I, well, that's not going to work. Because I folded it over, it doesn't work. Okay, so then what you have to do is repeat the same process, for example. So let me take another piece of or I'm going to just use the same piece. Let's punch the first corner out. Okay. Fold that over like so, and then pop that there. And now all of a sudden you can see I have a bigger space around the outside. If I pop, I've got another one here. If I take that one and pop that in there, you can see the difference in the size of the layer. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is repeat that process, and I reckon it's probably about one. See, this is what we was doing at the open days. People say, well, what if we do this and what if we do that? So hopefully this will work. Maybe I should have done it on copy paper, but for the sake of art, because I know I can use this for something else if it doesn't work. Okay, so now that goes like so. Okay, didn't put my blue mat underneath. So now we're going to take that, we're going to punch the other four corners like so. So maybe you want a little bit more of your frame showing rather than just a little sliver like so. Okay. So now I take this one, and this rounded one's quite nice because what it does is it gives, right, okay, what you need to do on the back is glue down the back, and what you can use your perga glue. What I was using was quickie glue. Okay, so I'm just putting some little dots. That goes like that. I did find that when I was doing that, like so. Okay. So this one works particularly well in order to do the reverse attachment, because if you use this one, there isn't anywhere really for your parchment to attach. If you do it that way, you could attach it underneath. So look, I could go like that, but obviously it takes away from the frame that I've created. But if I haven't got a frame around it, so like this one here, obviously I've cut her a little bit too small now, but I could create the decorative elements there, you see. So now I've stuck that down, if I pop that like so, that goes in there, that goes in there. Okay. So what's happening here is I've got a little bit of a bulge. Okay, so and it's only in the length, so it meant that I didn't go long enough. But you know what? For the sake of art, what I'm going to do is trim a little bit off. Okay, nobody will know. Nobody will know. Let's see if that was enough to sort out the. That goes there. That goes in there. That goes in there. That's it. Perfect. See, a little bit of adjustment. So now I've got using it the traditional way, using it the folded way. And I quite like it, especially with that round, it gives it a different look, doesn't it? So have a look. But again, I think with this one, if I had, let's just take, so I'm going to stretch over a piece of artwork like that. If that was my parchment, see, I would do that, but take the corner as part of my design element. Okay, because if I go that way, I'd cover up the area. But what Jane did, I mean, Jane was using a circle, wasn't she? So it looked lovely with those decorative elements on there. But this was what confused me, was how Jane got this sort of scallop part of her design. But now it's just so obvious. So I think our ladies have finished attending their finishing school. So before I disappear, next week we're going to go back to Jane's floral sampler, because we're still working on that on different colouring techniques. Okay. Now, yesterday, as I mentioned earlier, Barb mentioned the new Hippie Chicks. Okay, so this is the Hippie Chick stamp set. Okay. If you want to see how they work, go back and watch the shack yesterday. Barbara put these through their paces yesterday to show the innie and the outie and everything else. And then we've got a fantastic Groovi plate. Let me put it on the overhead. I'll need to zoom out a little bit. So this is your A5 Groovi plate with your funky Hippie Chick characters. Okay, lovely decorative frames around the outside. Hippie Chick, peace and love. Really, real groovy, which is quite apt for a Groovi plate. And then you've got this lovely A4 stamp set, like so. And then you can see you've got it's got 36 stamps in here. So you've got your 3 lovely Groovy Chicks and 3 different outfits. So they're available now, and online exclusive. They're only going to be available to us here at Clarity, nowhere else. And on the 4th of July at 7 o'clock in the evening, Barb will be doing a free craft along. Okay, if you buy the stamps, they're £29.99 plus any club discounts. If you buy the Groovy plate, £12.99 plus any club discounts. But if you decide to go for the stamp and the Groovy plate, then it comes in, I think it's at £39.98. So you get a saving by buying both together, plus your club discount on top. And often when Barb's using both the stamp and the Groovy in a craft along, time always flies out the door. So if that happens again, then we will have our dessert for breakfast or brunch the following Tuesday afterwards. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Thank you once again for joining me. And thank you, as always, to the lovely design team in the room to help out, and also to Sue being there for not texting me any questions. No, I'm joking. And don't forget, Barb is back with you on Thursday evening at 7 o'clock, and you're working on Eye for Ice Cream. That ice cream looked yummy. Really made me want to go out and get an ice cream yesterday. And then back on the shack on Monday, and then I'll be with you again on Tuesday, where we'll go back to our journey with the Jane Nesarenko A4 floral sampler and carrying on with our colouring techniques. So thank you also to Jane for that lovely sort of technique on those corner punches. So enjoy the rest of the week. Don't worry about what the weather's doing. Sunny, raining, doesn't matter, does it? It could be doing anything out there at the moment. I know it's not raining because you can normally hear it on the roof. So I will see you all again next week. All right, take care now, everybody. Bye-bye. Where's that button gone?